We don't know what information we do not have until somebody asks us for it. Hello everyone, my name is Angelo and I'm a passport brother who brought his fiancée back from Vietnam to come live with me in the States. We're going to be here for a few years while we get our finances and everything ready for our big move back to Southeast Asia sometime very soon. But in the meantime, I want to talk to you about the K1 visa process, particularly completing the USCIS petition for the fiancé visa. Well, that's for the K1, K2, and K3, I believe is covered under that. As you know, your acceptance or the approval of your visa is based largely on the information that's included in that petition. So I'm going to show you a couple of techniques that will help you gather all the information that you need so that you don't miss a thing and you can bring your fiance back to the States as well. We're going to talk about what you can do or what techniques you can employ in order to facilitate your chances of a greater approval rate for your USCIS fiance visa or K1 visa petition, so that you can bring your loved one to the United States for marriage. There are many aspects to the entire visa process for the K1 Fiance Visa. I've gone through this process and I know each step very intimately because my fiance, my wife, Nghīa, and I, we had to go through the process twice. But right now, I like to focus on some techniques you can employ that will facilitate your collection of data for the USCIS petition in order to increase your chances of approval. If you're missing anything, even a signature, you can delay the processing of your visa by up to 6 months, because there's a back and forth process. When they ask for it, you have to collect it, you have to send it back, and then they have to make sure everything is right and exact. It's way too much time. So you need to make sure that you do everything right the first time. Our visa petition both times was accepted. There was no additional request for information or evidence or anything like that. They accepted the visa upon our submission. But there was something that I did along the way to make sure that I understood and then what supporting evidence I needed to submit. So I'm going to talk about those two techniques that I've employed in order to facilitate the chances of my K1 visa being accepted and then moving on towards final approval. Number one is the USCIS petition I-129F is it's a large form. And what you need to do before you even consider sitting down to write the information, what you need to do is sit down with the instructions that comes with the PDF that you can download from the website and read through the instructions from page 1 all the way to the end. But you need to read through all of the pages. You need to bring your little highlighter and your little pen, and you need to sit there and write down anything and highlight anything that stands out to you or that you don't understand. And then at the end of going through that entire document of instructions, then you need to go back to your notes and do whatever research is needed until you are comfortable with the language and the terms and the vernacular used inside that instruction sheet. You should not have any questions about what they mean and what they want. Far too many times, what the problems that people have when they're completing the form I-129F is that they are not sure what's being asked of them, and so they submit anything that sounds reasonable, and quite often they're not. It's completely and totally wrong. You got to submit and give them what they're asked for. Anything else is superfluous, doesn't count. doesn't give you bonus points. It just takes up space. So you get that instruction sheet, you open it from start to finish, and you're opening it and you're reading it with no intentions of immediately going towards filling it out. You're reading it to understand. You need to understand. So you read it from front to back, all of the pages, get your little highlighter, get your little pen, and you write down anything that doesn't stand out, and then you go back to the website or Google, and you get the information that makes sense to you if you come across something that you don't understand. So that's number one. Number two is you need to start collecting all of your data and information and evidence as soon as possible. We don't know what information we do not have until somebody asks us for it. The same thing applies for anyone submitting a K1 Fiance Visa USCIS petition form I-129F. There's a lot of data and a lot of background information that you must acquire, and you must attach that information with your petition. And that means if you don't have it, you have to go out to the government resources to acquire that information, get documented proof, and then attach it to your petition. Now, there's some other aspects of information that you need as well. And I suggest that both you and your fiance, on both sides, from both families, go through every immediate family member.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
That means mother, father, brother, sister, and children, and gather all of their information. Now, you won't need their social security number or anything, but you need their current addresses, their last known addresses for the past 10 years, and all that information for your parents, your siblings, and your children. And that includes adopted children. So all that information has to be assembled. And some of that, if you don't have it, you will need to go out and get it. And that means going to the respective government agencies to gather that information. And the beauty of it is that once you have it, it's now yours. You can keep it in your personal documents and your files and your folders. Make sure that you have everything as listed on the instructions form. And once you've confirmed that, now you can start to label your information. You grab just a blank piece of paper, slap it on the top, write down a cover sheet title for it, put a paper clip or a binder clip on it, and set it aside. And you do that for all of your supporting documents. Now, once you've gone through the entire pile, you take those cover sheets and you get on your computer and you type up a nice cover sheet with the petitioner's name, the beneficiary's name, your date of birth. That should be enough. And then in big bold letters, you want to include, what this supporting evidence is for, whether it's marital or proof of relationship. And then you print out these nice, proper cover sheets, attach them to your documents, and if you'd like, you can get a 2-hole punch to punch at the top of the page, because the documents at the USCIS will use a little binder clip that has 2 prongs that go through the holes at the top, not the 3 holes that go along the side. And so if you can punch your documents with the 2 holes on the top and then just put a paper clip on it, it'll facilitate them, the agents at the USCIS, being able to assemble and collate and store your documentation. Now, if you don't have a 2-hole punch, it's not a big deal. Just use a fat paper clip or a big binder clip. Now, once you've gathered all this information and you verified by looking at the instructions that you have everything that you need, your only thing to do now is to set aside time by yourself, no one over your shoulder, no stress, no craziness, to sit down and start completing the USCIS petition. I suggest you do it online. Do not try to handwrite it. Handwriting is lousy. I don't care how good your penmanship is. Do it online so that your corrections can be made and done easily. If you enter something in the wrong place or the wrong field or whatever, just keep in mind that if your fiance lives overseas, her address style is going to be different. So you have to make space for her address in what's considered a U.S. address format. So you'll have to do that. But whichever way you do it the same way every time they ask for the address. Don't start changing as you get through page 8 and then ask for the address again on page 12 and you write it differently, and then on page 14 you write it differently. Whatever your format is, you keep that same format. However you write your name, first name, middle name, last name, whatever way you do it, you do that way the same way each and every time you write that form. You don't want to confuse anybody. Once you set aside that time to do your petition, then you just want to give your documentation a once over, make sure that you haven't missed anything. Your petition is now in a good place for acceptance. It's not brain surgery, it's not anything, it's not rocket science. It's really simple, but it's an involved process. But you can do it. And if you have any questions along the way, please leave a comment below. And if you like what you've seen, just give me a thumbs up. And then I'll see you in the next one.